There comes a time when silence speaks louder than words, when distance becomes the most powerful lesson, and when your absence teaches a lesson your presence never could. You don't have to beg for love. You don't have to chase someone to see your worth. The most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not with bitterness, not with anger, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly who they are. You see, there is a kind of power that doesn't come from words, from explanations, or from trying to make someone see your worth. It comes from silence, from absence, from the undeniable weight of what is no longer there. When someone has always had you, your time, your energy, your love, they forget that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. They assume you will always be there, waiting, forgiving, understanding. And so they stop appreciating you, they stop valuing the very thing they once fought for. But the moment you remove yourself from the equation, everything changes. When you no longer answer the calls, when your laughter no longer fills the spaces they took for granted, when they look around and realize the warmth they assumed would always exist has turned to cold silence, that's when they feel it. The loss, the emptiness, the hollow space where you once stood. You don't have to beg to be seen. You don't have to fight for attention. The most powerful thing you can do is to simply walk away with grace, with strength, with a quiet confidence that says, I know what I bring to the table, and I will no longer sit where I am not valued. That is the moment they feel the pain, not because you forced it upon them, but because they now have to sit with the reality of what they let slip away. Love should never be something one person carries alone. It should be reciprocated, honored, and cherished. And when it isn't, your greatest act of self-love is to step back and let them feel the absence of your presence. Because only then will they understand what they had. And by the time they do, you will have already become someone they can no longer reach. People only value what they fear losing. It's a simple truth, yet one that many forget until it's too late. When something is always within reach, always available, always forgiving, it becomes easy to overlook. The human heart has a strange way of taking consistency for granted, assuming that what is here today will still be there tomorrow. And so, the small efforts start to fade. The appreciation turns into expectation. The love that once felt like a privilege becomes something assumed, something ordinary. But the moment you take yourself away, the moment you stop being the one who always reaches out, always fixes things, always shows up, no matter how little you receive in return, that's when the realization hits. The absence of your presence creates a void they never thought they'd feel. The silence where your voice used to be becomes deafening. The comfort of knowing you'd always be there disappears, and suddenly they are left with nothing but the echoes of what they lost. If this isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions, it's about understanding your own worth. Love should be nurtured, not tested. But if someone only recognizes your value and they feel the risk of losing you, then they never truly appreciated you in the first place. And the irony is, by the time they finally see what they had, they will also realize that the version of you who once waited for them no longer exists. So let them feel it. The weight of your absence, the emptiness of a space they once believed would always be filled. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but because you deserve to be loved in a way that does not require your loss to be understood. And when they finally grasp what they let slip away, they will come to know the greatest truth of all. Some losses are permanent, and the deepest pain is realizing you lost something you can never get back. Love should never feel like a battle to prove your worth. The moment you find yourself fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be chosen, you have already lost a part of yourself. Love is not something that should be earned through relentless effort while the other person simply receives without reciprocation. It is meant to flow freely, to be given and returned with equal intensity, not measured in sacrifices made by only one. You don't need to chase someone to remind them of your value. The right person will recognize it without needing constant reminders. But the wrong person, they will only see what they had when they realize it's gone. And that's why the most powerful thing you can do is to stop running toward them and start running toward yourself. Shift your energy from proving your love to proving to yourself that you are enough. Without their validation, without their half-hearted efforts, without their inability to appreciate what was right in front of them. When you stop chasing, something remarkable happens. The energy that was once poured into someone else, into fixing, into holding on, suddenly returns to you. You reclaim your power, your confidence, your peace. You begin to glow in a way that no one can ignore. And the one who took you for granted, they will feel the absence, the loss, the undeniable regret of knowing that they had something rare, something they will never find again in the same way. The tables always turn, not because you force them to, but because life has a way of showing people the consequences of their choices. And by the time they realize what they lost, you will have already discovered something far greater, the love within yourself that no one will ever have to be convinced to cherish. There is a kind of silence that speaks louder than words, a kind of distance that carries more weight than any argument ever could. When someone is used to your presence, your constant affection, your willingness to always be there, they become blind to what it truly means to have you in their life. They stop noticing the way you light up a room, the way your love brings warmth, the way your loyalty is a rare and precious gift. And as long as you continue to give without hesitation, they will never feel the fear of losing you. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop reaching out first, stop making excuses for their lack of effort, stop pouring your heart into a space that no longer holds it, that's when the shift happens. Suddenly, the calls that once went unanswered feel like a void they can't escape. The messages you used to send stop coming, and now they're the ones staring at their phone, waiting, wondering, regretting. The attention they took for granted is no longer theirs to claim, and for the first time they feel the emptiness where your presence used to be. It's not about punishing them. It's not about playing games. It's about making them understand, without a single word, what life feels like without you in it. Because when you stop giving endlessly, when you stop proving your worth to someone who never should have questioned it, they are left with only one thing: the silence. And in that silence, they will feel everything they once ignored, the love they didn't nurture, the loyalty they assumed was permanent, the presence they believed would never fade. Distance has a way of revealing the truth, and by the time they finally realize what they lost, you will have already learned the most valuable lesson of all. Your love is a privilege, not a guarantee, and those who fail to cherish it will be left with nothing but the memory of what they can never have again. Walking away is not about revenge. It is not about making someone suffer or proving a point. It is about self-respect. It is about recognizing when you have given enough, when you have tried enough, when you have sacrificed enough, and when the only thing left to do is let go. Love should never be about convincing someone to treat you right. It should never feel like a constant battle to earn the bare minimum. If someone only values you when they feel the risk of losing you, then they never truly valued you at all. And the moment you realize that, you gain something far more powerful than their approval. You gain yourself. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to explain yourself over and over again to someone who refuses to listen. The most powerful statement you can ever make is through your absence. Not out of anger, not out of resentment, but out of the quiet understanding that you deserve more. When you stop fighting for someone who never fought for you, when you choose your own peace over their inconsistency, that is when they feel it. The weight of what they lost, the reality of what they took for granted. Because here's the truth: nothing stings more than realizing you lost someone who would have given you the world. Nothing haunts a person more than the memory of the one who truly loved them, the one they pushed away, the one who walked away not because they stopped caring, but because they finally started caring about themselves. Let them feel the absence of your presence, not because you seek to hurt them, but because you refuse to hurt yourself any longer. Let them sit with the silence, let them question, let them wonder, and by the time they realize what they lost, you will have already moved on. Not bitter, not broken, but stronger than ever, with a heart that no longer waits for someone to finally see its worth. There is always a moment when everything shifts. A moment when the one who once held the power to break your heart suddenly realizes they are the one left searching for answers. The moment you stop waiting. The moment you stop hoping. The moment you decide that your happiness is no longer tied to their presence. That is the moment the tables turn. At first, they may not notice. They may believe you'll always be there, always available, always willing to try one more time, but then the reality begins to sink in. The messages they once ignored are no longer there. The effort they barely acknowledged is gone. The person who used to fight for them has now chosen to fight for themselves, and that is a feeling they will never be able to shake. Regret is a heavy burden. It doesn't come all at once. It creeps in slowly in the quiet moments, in the spaces where your love used to live. They will think about the way you used to care, about the way you used to show up, about the way you made them feel like they were the most important person in the world. And then they will realize that none of it is theirs anymore, because you have moved on, not just physically but emotionally, and there is nothing more painful than realizing you lost someone who was once willing to give you everything. But by the time they see it, by the time they finally understand, it will be too late. You will have already found your peace. You will have already built a life that no longer revolves around them. And the most powerful part, they will have to live with the knowledge that they were the reason they lost you. That is the pain of losing something truly irreplaceable. And that is when they finally understand that some losses cannot be undone. The greatest power you will ever hold is the ability to walk away and never look back. Not because you are bitter, not because you seek revenge, but because you have finally realized that you are worth more than the love that made you question your own value. There will come a day when they wake up and feel the weight of your absence. They will scroll through old messages, replay old conversations, search for traces of you in places where you no longer exist. They will wonder if they should reach out, if they should try to fix what they broke. And maybe they will, but by then you will have already outgrown the love that once made you feel small. You will have already built a life that no longer has space for someone who didn't know how to love you when they had the chance. There is nothing more painful than realizing you lost something you could never have back. And the hardest lesson they will ever learn is that you were never theirs to lose, you were only theirs to cherish. And when they failed to do so, they lost you not because you were taken away, but because you chose yourself instead. The deepest pain is not in watching someone leave, it is in knowing they will never return in the same way. That no matter how much they regret, no matter how much they miss you, the version of you who once waited for them is gone. And that is the ultimate truth. The only way to make them feel the pain of losing you is to ensure that when they finally realize what they lost, you are no longer someone they can reach. There comes a moment when you stop waiting for them to see your worth and instead you start seeing it for yourself. That moment is not loud or dramatic. It does not come with a final confrontation or a desperate goodbye. It comes quietly in the realization that you deserve more. It comes in the stillness of knowing that love should never feel like convincing someone to stay. It comes in the strength of choosing yourself over a love that made you doubt your own value. They may not feel the loss immediately. At first, they may believe you'll always be there, just as you always have been. But time has a way of revealing truths that words never could. As the days pass and the silence grows heavier, they will begin to feel it. They will reach for you in the spaces where your love once existed, only to find emptiness. They will hear your laughter in places where you no longer stand, remembering the light you brought into their life. They will try to fill the void with distractions, but nothing will ever replace the presence of someone who once gave them everything. And by the time they realize it, by the time they finally understand what they lost, you will have already become someone new, someone stronger, wiser, and untouchable by the hands that once let you go. The pain they will feel will not come from your anger nor from your revenge. It will come from knowing that they had something rare, something beautiful, something irreplaceable, and they lost it, not because you left, but because they never truly chose you when they had the chance. So walk away, not to make them suffer, but to free yourself. Walk away, not to prove a point, but to claim your power. Walk away because the greatest lesson they will ever learn is that losing you was the cost of never fully loving you. And once they finally understand that, the pain of their loss will be theirs to carry forever. 4-0.